Coming up on the Football Today podcast, we take a look at this morning's Carabao Cup semi-final between Chelsea and Middlesbrough. We've got two very sad Chelsea fans. We also have a look at tomorrow's game between Liverpool and Fulham, as well as the games this weekend in the EPL. Some interesting transfer news has come across our desk this week as well, so we'll take a look at that. The Asian Cup starts this week, so Australia are hopefully going to get out of their group there. But of course, Japan, Saudi Arabia and Iran in there too. And of course, we talk about Sam Kerr and the devastating news about her injury earlier this week. But a lot more coming up on Football Today, and it starts right now. Hello and welcome to Football Today. It is the 10th of January. It is the Thursday show, but it's happening on a Wednesday this week. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly. I am in an undisclosed location, aka the Gold Coast, hiding under the air conditioner if you are watching here on YouTube because, well, it's 30 degrees and the humidity is about 95%. It is gross. I'm joined, as always, by the stats guy, McAllion. They're back in Melbourne.
Yeah, not as humid here. I can't believe you complain about being on the Gold Coast. That's a bit of a joke. Yeah, very excited. Got my flag. Check it on the YouTube. Got my big Rotterdam flag and my Chelsea top that I don't get to wear in the office. So very happy. That's
Celtic, you said, not Chelsea, stats guy.
I said Celtic, didn't I?
No, you said Chelsea.
Oh, geez. I've got them on my mind.
Good start with Chelsea on the mind because Marcus Bazzano was here during the Cricket Today recording this morning. I may have heard a collective groan as Middlesbrough went 1-0 up in the Carabao Cup semi-final. How are we, Marcus?
Not great. Just had a long counselling session this morning. So, just going through the emotions.
Yeah, not at all ideal. So, look, today we will have a quick look at what happened this morning, but we'll also take a look ahead. We've got a few EPL games coming up this weekend, as well as there's another Carabao Cup semi-final first. Like that's tomorrow morning, Thursday morning Australian time. So we'll take a look at that. The FA Cup round 4 fixtures are out, so we'll take a look at some of them. We do have some replays next week, as there were some draws in round 3. And in the second half of the show, we will take a look at the Asian Cup because that kicks off later this week with Australia, of course, taking part there. And of course, you've got Japan, Stats Guy's favourite team. South Korea is there, Iran. So it should be a really good competition. And of course, we'll chat on the news that ruined every Australian's 2024, Sam Kerr doing her knee. But anyway, let's start the show with the typical yeah, nah. And I put it in. I saw none of this game this morning, so I will need to be led by you two gentlemen. Yeah, nah, boys. Was this morning's loss to Middlesbrough Chelsea's worst effort of the season thus far?
Oh, you go, Marcus.
Oh, that's tough. I'm gonna go nah. I don't think it was the worst effort of the season. We should have won that game. Cole Palmer could have had 4 goals in the first half. He missed some sitters. So very unlike him, but he didn't have a great game. But in the final third, it just looked so poor. I can't believe we're saying that without Nico Jackson, but it was weird to not have Brozier starting as the only recognised striker in the squad, and he was on the bench. So, it was pretty weird, but I wouldn't say it's the worst effort, so no.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there, Marcus. Bit of nah, but just a slight nah. On paper, it looks like probably the worst loss. Obviously, Middlesbrough are 12th in the championship. I still can't believe we've lost. But they looked really strong in midfield, as Marcus mentioned. We were talking about on the Cricket Today show. Cole Palmer was setting up a lot of goals. It's just very unlike him not to finish a couple. And then we probably just needed a striker up front. So it was definitely really disappointing. I wouldn't say the worst effort of the season. We've had some pretty dodgy 4-1 losses and like to Newcastle and things like that. So probably say they're worse. But, yeah, not good losing to the 12th team in the championship. Very, very dodgy.
Of course, the Carabao Cup being 2-leg semi-finals, so you do have your chance in the next week or so to bounce back. A 2-0 win gets you through to the final at Wembley, as I like to always butcher it by saying that. But so talking about the game this morning, that's sort of all we need to cover because it sounds like, and looking at some of the stat lines after the game, is Chelsea had their chances to win. And, well, welcome to my world as an Arsenal fan, boys, having all the chances in the world and not finishing.
I know, yeah. We've pretty much copied you there. What was it, 1-0 in the end? I just wanted to bring out a stat. I might as well bring out some stats as I am the stats guy. It's the first time that Borough have scored against Chelsea since Viduka in 2006. So Mark Viduka, the legend Aussie, yeah. So that's pretty cool stat for you there.
The legendary Aussie who is now running a cafe in Croatia, the absolute Australian dream. If there isn't one like that, I don't know what is. And we'll talk about Tom Glover. He was an Australian. He kept in goals for Middlesbrough, so obviously keeping the clean sheet there. Big ups to him. Again, this is probably a bit poor on my part, not taking much notice of the Asian Cup squad. Is he in the squad and is he about to fly out, or is he staying over there in England?
He's staying over, I think.
He's staying in England, not in the squad. But it was, a bit weird. I thought he hasn't really got much game time at Middlesbrough. That's why. It's only because their number one goalkeeper is injured that he's now filling in the team. But his distribution was great this morning. He made a big mistake that Cole Palmer should have just tapped in. But he kept the clean sheet in the end. So good on him.
Yeah, I think both in the men's, the Socceroos and the Matildas, we've got really, really good deep goalkeeping stocks, which is awesome because you got guys now in all leagues all over the world rather than just relying on A-League or the women's A-League and stuff like that. So, really going well with the goalkeepers, and he can't even make it into the squad. Yeah.
I like it. Good to hear. All right, let's take a look at the other Carabao Cup game because it is tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Liverpool take on Fulham, of course, first of two legs. Trent Alexander-Arnold, was announced this morning, has done his knee, not in a serious manner. He's out for about a month to 6 weeks. So Liverpool, no Alexander-Arnold, no Mo Salah. Virgil van Dijk's sick at the moment. And then you've also got Endo, who is away at the Asian Cup. So they are going to be pretty weak for the next month or so if this keeps up. Of course, there's a few other injuries going through the squad at the moment, but with this Fulham team, you don't know what they're going to do. So it's very hard to predict, especially with Liverpool being as, I suppose, castrated throughout the squad, as we should say. But you think Liverpool would win at home? I think it's at home.
Yeah, I think, I'm pretty sure Liverpool, it's at home, and I think they should win. Fulham, they're a bit of a mixed bag this year. I think with Jimenez back in, though, they could score a goal or two. I reckon this could be like a 3-2 or even like a 4-2 sort of game, just because, Liverpool, without some of their big names, I'm not sure if Van Dijk, I didn't even know he was sick, but if he is, that's a huge out because that defense, you don't have Robertson. They don't even have Tsimikas at the moment. He's coming back from an injury as well. So that back four is going to look very strange over the next couple of weeks. So I do think Liverpool will get the job done, but it'll be interesting to see if they can hold on to top spot of the Premier League as well with those injuries.
Oh, yeah, Liverpool should get the job done easily in this one. It'll be one of their worst losses, I reckon, if they don't get the job done, to be honest.
Yeah, fair.
I do want to touch on Tsimikas. Obviously, the broken collarbone that happened, about 3 weeks ago, and apparently he's already running around doing everything.
Oh, really?
He can. Yeah, so I think there might have been a bit of hyperbole coming out of the Liverpool medical staff there about the broken collarbones. I don't think you're running around and doing everything you would do as a footballer if you still had a broken collarbone. So the Bukayo Saka apologists, please come out now and say sorry because you overwatered that pitch and brought it upon yourself. But Virgil van Dijk...
I've broken my collarbone. So,
how long?
Yeah, a bit longer than that. Maybe just because I'm a coward, and I'm very flimsy. But my bones are pretty weak. But
just fair enough. Self-throw under the bus there.
It's just not a supreme athlete. But yeah, Virgil van Dijk was sick. He missed the FA Cup game over the weekend between Arsenal and Liverpool. So take note to see if he plays over the weekend. But look, we'll get into the rest of the games in the EPL this weekend because we do have a few of them this weekend. A few other teams are on their mid-season break, shall we say. They get about 10 to 12 days off, which is good. They've had a hectic run over the Christmas period. So this is a time for a few teams to take some stock and get over some niggling injuries or work on some potential transfers as well as tactic changes for the rest of the season. But the first game we'll touch on, it's the first one of the weekend. It is Burnley and Luton Town. This one taking place up there at Turf Moor Saturday, 5:45 a.m. This is for me at Queensland time, so it's 6:45 a.m. across in Victoria and everywhere else. I'm going to lean towards Luton at home here. I just think they've been in much better form in recent times than Burnley. And Burnley, sometimes they'll play well, then they won't. But Luton, there seems to be a style in which they play that is building towards wins. And it looks like they're trying to get enough points to stay up. And this is a game that's must win for both teams if we're talking about relegation races.
Yeah, Burnley especially, I think they're gone. They're still 4 points behind Luton, and they're only one spot on the table behind Luton. I'm going to go Luton. I think this is going to be very similar to that Sheffield game where they won away. So we've talked up Luton at home, but they can beat those lower teams away. So I'm gonna go Luton here. They've been really good form, won a couple of games in the last couple of weeks. So get around them.
It wouldn't be an EPL show without me predicting a draw first up. So I'm gonna go a draw here, lads.
What a surprise.
Pretends to be shocked. The next game we'll look at is Chelsea and Fulham. It's the early kickoff on Saturday morning, and this is interesting, obviously, because Fulham play tomorrow morning, and Chelsea have obviously played this morning. So both teams on the quick backup. A lot of congested fixtures for both teams. It's hard to make a prediction, obviously not seeing how Fulham are going to play tomorrow and what can potentially happen there. But you think on recent form, take out this morning for Chelsea, they should be too strong at home. And this is a London derby, one of the many London derbies.
Yeah, I think I got to back my Blues. I know we lost this morning, but we haven't actually been that bad over the last couple of months. One of 3 games, I think it is, across the last month and a bit. And we've only lost points once to Fulham at home since 2012. So I know that Chelsea haven't been good the last couple of seasons, but I'm going to back them at home. If this was at Craven Cottage, I'd be going for a draw or Fulham because they've actually been pretty solid themselves.
Yeah, for sure here. I'm going Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I think might just be a bit too strong. As Duskguy mentioned, if it was at Craven Cottage, it might be a little bit of a different story. But we beat them 2-0 earlier in the season. Beating Fulham isn't for everyone, Alex, but I think we can do it.
I mean, being in European contention isn't for everyone either. So,
winning a Champions League, but yeah, that's all right.
So you keep going to that, but it happened like 4 years ago. Like, how are you going currently and last season? Like, let's live in the current world stats. God, my team can't score a goal, so it's not great. But at least we're still in the top 4.
I'll give you that.
We touched the nerve. So
yeah, but it's very easy. It's like, what? 10th? Good. Awesome.
Yeah,
anyway, did we lose to Middlesbrough? No. All right, let's look at the other game. Speaking of touching some nerves, Newcastle and Manchester City. This is a big game for Newcastle because they have been in horrendous form as of late. And if Manchester City roll into St James's Park and cruise away with, a 3-4-0 win, Eddie Howe maybe playing danger zone above him there, given the Saudi backing there and their recent form. They need to put up a fight because if they don't, I think he's in trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in my doomsday later. I'll touch on that. I do think he might be in trouble. Don't see them getting even close to Man City. I think a lot of people in the media have been talking up Man City. They got De Bruyne back. De Bruyne. He only played in his first 17 minutes back during the week. He got an assist. He's just a freak. I think he's going to take this team to another level. And no matter if Haaland's playing or not, of course, we've been talking up if he's coming back the next couple of weeks, but we're still not sure. Even if he's not there, De Bruyne is the best passer in the world. So he's going to take them to another level. And I think City are going to absolutely thump Newcastle the way they're playing at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I'm back in City here. I'm not sure about that Eddie Howe call, though. I'm not sure because I think still he massively overachieved last season to even get them into the top 4. I know their run of form hasn't been great, but I think some Newcastle fans can just, go back a couple of years from where they were, bottom half and fighting to stay in the league, and now you're playing in Champions League football. Well, not anymore, but you know what I mean. I think that was pretty harsh on Eddie Howe, but again, City, they just look great, and I can see them, getting the job done comfortably.
Speaking of like the Howe, and it's more how they're playing more than anything. It's not like, being super competitive and just, losing. They are getting walloped, and it's like, you see, it's a similar thing. Like there's weird Arsenal fans that are going, Arteta out. It's like, are you kidding? Like, that bloke had gutted out the old guard of the club, got rid of him, has got this young squad in. And it's like we talked about Liverpool pretty much this time last year when they were basically hitting the crossbar every time. And it's like eventually everything reverts back to the mean and the ball will go into the back of the net. So I don't understand why I get it because obviously the last 18 months has been glorious as an Arsenal fan with, playing so well and consistently, and it's been a slight blip. But it's like 18 months ago, you win 3 of those 4 games, like how good is life? It just doesn't matter. But for Newcastle, I know they've got a big injury list at the moment. Kieran Trippier's form's horrendous, but it just feels if they get battered there, not that he'll be gone, but I think the vultures will circle, shall we say.
Yep, fair call.
Interesting game, another one here, and shout out to the dude who gave us a spray on Instagram over the weekend, is Everton host Aston Villa, because apparently we are undervaluing Aston Villa. Well, Aston Villa's home form this year has been absolutely horrendous. So I'm not undervaluing them. I'm saying they're strong at home. They just can't win away at the moment. So Everton at home, they're going to be hard to beat. Sean Dyche will have them up and about. They were a bit over the Christmas period, but with the talks of Onana, the Everton Onana apparently leaving or maybe here or there, he'd want to put in a big performance if he's about to leave. But Dyche in a big Goodison Park, packed crowd, they'll be up for this challenge against Villa.
Or I don't know. They haven't been great the last couple of weeks, Everton, after that really strong push back out of the relegation zone. I'm going to back Villa to win pretty comfortably here. I know they haven't been good on the road, away from home, away from Villa Park. but I can just see the sort of floodgates open. A lot of their players have been rested, obviously, the last couple of weeks. So I think I'm gonna go Villa to win pretty easy this one.
Oh yeah. Villa's depth is just like incredible. I think the squad that they have. I'm not sure about that guy giving us a spray. I'm not sure. Maybe he should actually listen to the podcast instead of watching a 30-second clip, because we've definitely talked up Aston Villa quite a bit this season, especially myself. But yeah, they were touch and go against Burnley, weren't they? Aston Villa at home last time out, and then a loss against Manchester United before that in the league. But yeah, well. Draw for me. What a surprise.
Oh, another draw. He's only got 2 draws. That's all right.
But even that's still like for what people are trying to talk up Villa, as I'm just having a look at like their stats. Like they beat Brentford away recently, one of their away wins, but they've also lost to Wolves and Notts Forest. They got smoked by Newcastle. It's something that you need to win games away if you're going to be in these top European spots later in the season, or at least walk away with a point. So this is the game. It seems weird to say for a team that's in top 4, it's must win. It is absolutely must win. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes.
Well, I think they were first throughout second behind Manchester City throughout 2023 for points awarded. So they're definitely due their praises. But you're right, they have to win these sort of games if they want to be playing Champions League football. Can't believe we're saying that, but
I know, yeah.
Yeah, and the final game of the weekend in the EPL, Manchester United taking on Tottenham. This one at Old Trafford. Can I just hope for a draw here? Because I don't want either team. Personally, I don't want either team to win. I just hate both of them. But on recent form and the way the teams are playing, I wouldn't be shocked if United somehow sneak a result, because just with the high press of Tottenham, just if a few of these United blokes like Garnacho and such get out the back, they could be off and gone. And that's my risk for Ange away from home. At Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it feels a little bit different, but at Old Trafford, maybe they nick like a 1-0 win. It's just like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards Tottenham. I think might have a few shekels on a bet on Tottenham. They're the underdogs in this one, which sort of surprised me a bit. The way the betting market's going. Old Trafford's not a fortress anymore. They've lost to United. Have lost to Bournemouth, Palace, and Newcastle there already this season. Teams that haven't been very good at all, who are lower than them on the table. So I don't trust Old Trafford and them to get the job done. Spurs as well. I think this will be really high scoring, as a lot of Spurs games are. Could be like a 3-2 maybe, but I reckon Spurs will just get over the line. Just a little bit worried about their defense with injuries, things like that. But some players coming back, and they've sort of settled the ship the last couple of weeks, Spurs. So I'm going to go them to get the job done.
No, you're right there. Sasco hit the nail on the head. They got a lot of injuries. I think Ben Davies also did his hammy not long ago, didn't he? In the I think it was in the FA Cup possibly. But that's not great news for them. But I think they're just going to get over the line here. But I swear to God, if Timo Werner scores, I will cry.
Same. We haven't talked about that. We haven't talked about Chelsea fans being very sad about that. We'll talk about that, though.
We'll get to that in the transfer portal. Also, of note, no Son Heung-min. Obviously, he's away at the Asian Cup as well. So that's a big out for Tottenham.
True.
All right, the FA Cup round 4 fixtures, the ones that have already been drawn and the big ones that we want to talk about. So I'll just rattle through these games and we'll sort of bit of a chat. Tottenham and Manchester City. About time Manchester City get a tough draw in a cup fixture. Chelsea and Aston Villa. Liverpool look like they'll get a bye as they take on Norwich or Bristol. Fulham and Newcastle is very interesting. And then it'll be Newport County or Eastleigh versus Manchester United. And, of course, it's not in this, but Wrexham made their way through to the 4th round as well.
Oh, yeah, get around Wrexham. They're doing it again. They could get promoted again, right? I think we were talking about this on the last
second.
This is unbelievable. One of the best runs in the lower leagues in almost ever. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's Luton-esque, isn't it? Just the way they're going about it. It's just refreshing. Obviously, got Ryan Reynolds as one of their owners, along with, I can't remember the other.
Rob McAllion.
There you go. The celebrity that no one cares about is also.
Oh, he's also from Always Sunny. Give him some respect, Rob McAllion. He's awesome.
It's Philadelphia.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Great show, but Ryan Reynolds and Green Lantern lead the way if you listen to the Cricket Today podcast.
No more Green Lantern references for Marcus. That was a bit shambles the other day.
Even Ryan Reynolds didn't watch the Green Lantern. Let's get to our big calls and doomsday scenarios for the weekend. So obviously a bit different this week, given it's a slightly smaller round in the EPL. So we can look a little bit wider to what we've got. So my big call for the weekend is Everton are going to beat Aston Villa at home. I think that's going to be an absolutely massive win for Everton later in the season. This game could prove crucial for both teams as far as staying out of relegation, and for Aston Villa, if they miss a Champions League spot by a couple of points, it could be this result that hurts them.
Ooh. I'm going to go Spurs to get their first win at Old Trafford since 2020. That was when they won 6-1. I don't think it's going to be that sort of scoreline, but I think it's going to be a really high-scoring match. And, yeah, Spurs are going to bounce back. Old Trafford, like I said before, just not a fortress anymore. Pretty chilled place to go at the moment. So, yeah, I'm going to go Spurs to get their first win there in a while.
Yeah, that leads into my big call with Tottenham winning there and hopefully Manchester United losing. But Manchester United will drop below Chelsea after this match day.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they just will. Hopefully Tottenham beat Manchester United, Chelsea beat Fulham, and there we are. We're above Manchester United, and the wheels are off for Ten Hag lovers.
Wow. I was just having a look at the goal difference. Chelsea can, if they get a win, because Manchester United's goal difference is -5, which is the worst of any team in the top 10. So, yeah, that's pretty good for Chelsea fans, but who knows what Chelsea's going to do this week.
Yeah. All right, and the doomsday scenario. So worst case scenario for a team, a person, or a country in my case. Mine is we haven't talked about it yet. We will in the next segment. Australia don't get out of the group stage at the Asian Cup is my doomsday scenario. After our magical run at the World Cup, what was it, like 16 months ago now? If we don't get out of the group stages here at the Asian Cup, alarm bells will be ringing, not just because it's like, we didn't get out. It's more like, where's the future for Australian football? There doesn't seem to be a massively good breakout clump of youngsters at the moment. It's like either really good veterans or really good young guys. Where's that middle clump? We don't have that 20 to 27-year-old group that's like, there's our Cahill, Viduka, et cetera, from 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's tough to compare. I know what you're saying, though. It is. I think we're going to make it at least to one of the later finals. But, yeah, you're right. It's a big doomsday if they don't, because they'll want Ange back. Can Ange coach the Socceroos and Tottenham at the same time? That'd be nice. My doomsday, Newcastle lose another game by more than 2 goals. So 4 of their last 6 games, they've lost by 2+, which Alex was mentioning before. They've been absolutely horrible. Then if they lose to City by more than 2, I reckon they could lose to Villa by more than 2 goals the next game. And Eddie Howe, we already talked about it, might be gone. So that's my doomsday. I don't think he will be gone straight away, but if they get smashed in these next 2 games, it's going to be, people wanting off with his head.
Well, if the Socceroos don't get out of the group stage, I'll run down Flinders Street in my jocks. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Socials, I sort of want it to happen now.
No, it definitely won't happen. Although, like you did mention that, Alex, I'll touch on that quickly. This is like where Australia sort of struggle against teams that sit back. We just don't really perform that well. Like in the World Cup, great. We were sort of the team that was sitting back and playing on the break, as was the case against, obviously, Denmark. But this is where we might struggle. But the teams in there are so poor. We've got a pretty easy group. But my doomsday scenario would be just more defensive injuries for Big Ange against Manchester United. Obviously, they're working hard to bring in a couple of names. Might get into that in the transfer portal, but that would be my doomsday for Tottenham.
Not fair.
There we go. All right, we're going to take a break here. You're going to hear Stats Guy talk about the not-so-award-winning Cricket Today podcast because it hasn't been alive yet to win an award. It should for hot takes and Supercoach chat, that's for sure. All right, we'll be back after this, and we'll bring in Leo for the trivia question. This is going to be great.
Lock in for a huge summer of slog sixes, rattle bales and classic snags with the daily Cricket Today podcast. Keep up to date with all things BBL, BBL Supercoach, tests, ODIs and T20s this summer, as well as the highlights and socials all season long. Search Cricket Today on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the Football Today podcast. We'll take a look at the transfer portal, the Asian Cup, and of course, the worst news in the history of Australia, Sam Kerr's injury. But first, possibly the worst segment on this show is because we are terrible at this. It is the trivia question with social guy Leo. Leo, you are there. Bring it on.
I'm nervous.
All right, boys. Out of all the Aussies in the Women's Super League, who has had the most minutes this 2023-24 season?
I would say it's not Cooney Cross. It's Rasmus not there anymore. Oh, Steph Catley, who I would go for.
Catley, okay.
From Arsenal, yeah.
I'm trying to think of.
I feel like Alex knows. It looks pretty
a little
smart.
bit lower down in the clubs, but this is tough. I'll back stats guy. I'll just go Steph Catley.
Oh, that's boring.
I was going to say Caitlin Ford, but then I remembered all the wingers and attackers that Arsenal have. So I'm going to go with Alana Kennedy at Manchester City.
Don't mind
just
that, actually.
because defender. I've got to go with that. I was thinking of the girl from Leicester City, but I'm going to stick with Alana Kennedy.
Oh,
You're all wrong, boys. You're all wrong.
What a surprise!
Do you want another go, or we'll call it?
It's not Cooney Cross because she came in late. It's not Wheeler, is it? No, Wheeler came in late as well.
Suck at this.
Unless it's Sam Kerr and we've just got it right under our nose. No, give it to us.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
Well, Alex, you said the girl from Leicester, Courtney Nevin.
Oh, damn. Damn. He almost had it. Jeez. This is another segment there we just stink it up.
yeah, that's good on Courtney Nevin. God damn it.
Hey, we'll get one of these questions right one day.
I hope so.
You actually got good questions. It's not your questions. I'll give you that. Yeah, we're just
do you have the actual minutes of what they asked?
I do. Let me just quickly grab that. Courtney Nevin has played 867 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Steph Catley second, 820.
Oh, I was close.
Caitlin Ford third, 817, and then Alana Kennedy fourth with 765.
I'll take that. I was second. I'll take that.
Look,
can I get a point for that?
If we took a first four, we nailed it. So good stuff, boys. Absolute moral victories. It seems we're speaking about an English competition. All right, thanks, Leo. Go away. All right, let's get into some transfer chats. Look, we'll start off with a pretty simple one. Just get it off the bat. Katrina Gorry, and more importantly, her daughter, Minnie Gorry, have signed to West Ham. That has been all over the news this week. As Kyra Cooney Cross put it on Instagram the other day, he's like, "We get it. You signed for West Ham."
Yeah.
It was a great announcement, though. That the club actually posted little Gorry as well. So
yeah,
there you go. Obviously, she's famous around the world.
Yeah, Harper was signing. You can buy a signed Katrina Gorry and Harper, her daughter Gorry, top, and they've been flying out the window. So pretty cool that she's gone there, and awesome that there's another Aussie at West Ham. They've got a few Aussies there now.
Yeah. And Harper Gorry is also the most expensive player in women's fantasy football at the moment. If you want to buy her, she will cost you £20 million. Do
you mean Katrina Gorry?
No, Harper with the Fantasy Premier League Twitter account. She is in the game.
Oh, right. Sorry, that is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, so fantastic. As someone said on Twitter the other day, this is the only form of nepotism that Australia will accept from now on.
I like it.
Now to make you boys sad. Timo Werner has left RB Leipzig again. He's going across to Tottenham Hotspur for a loan deal for the remaining 6 months of the season with not a full-on obligation, but there is an opportunity to buy him for Tottenham between 15 and 20 million pounds. Obviously, talented player, won a Champions League at Chelsea, never hit the heights that everyone thought he would hit, only 10 goals during his time there. What's the bet he goes across to Chelsea now and Tottenham and scores 10 goals in the remainder of the season?
Oh, I don't see him absolutely dominating. I could see him scoring a few goals. Just the way Ange plays, he might have a bit of space, but he's been worse for RB Leipzig than when Chelsea got him. So when Chelsea got him, I was having a look at the stats. He was pretty much going at a goal a game at RB Leipzig. He's dropped off dramatically for RB Leipzig, but it's going to tear me apart if he dominates for Spurs because, he couldn't find the back of the net. He won a Champions League, but, he was shocking at Chelsea. Just couldn't finish, especially one-on-ones with the keepers and things like that. So we'll have to wait and see.
I find this transfer more tough than Mason Mount going to Manchester United, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I love Timo Werner. He actually had a great goal and assist record in our winning Champions League run. So
he did, yeah.
I thought it was really great, and I think he'll really suit Ange's style because even when he's not playing well, he's pressing. And that's all you need to do in Ange's front three is press, and you'll get into that team. And with Son gone, he definitely fills a hole.
Yeah, well, actually referencing a bit of Ange ball. Literally, he would just play Ange when he was at Celtic, as I'm wearing my Celtic top. He would just play the pacey guys up front, which would press and obviously all push up in the front half. So yeah, Werner adds a bit of pace to that team. That even Richarlison, he's obviously in really good form. It doesn't have that pace. Sonny out, who obviously has the pace. You put Werner in, actually might work pretty well, which might tear us apart as Chelsea fans.
I was going to say, you Chelsea fans can't be getting depressed about players leaving, given the revolving door you have at Stamford Bridge. Yeah,
true. We're bringing in lots of players that shouldn't be, and then getting Havertz as well scoring.
I thought Timo Werner should never have left. I really rated him. I think you just need to give some players, especially in the Premier League, a little bit more time. He showed glimpses. He scored a couple of great goals, especially when against Southampton. I'm not sure if you guys remember.
I remember that. Yeah.
Made that dummy, went nutmeg the defender, and then went past 3 players. But he's not great for me.
The 2 players I will allow Chelsea fans to get sad about if they do leave Chelsea is Conor Gallagher and Reece James, because obviously academy boys all the way through look like they legitimately bleed blue. Yep. If they get sold for FFP. I get you being depressed about that one.
Fair.
Now, interesting here. We put this in, I think you put this in, Marcus, so you take it away about this potential Spurs move that could be hijacked.
Well, it's Dragusin from Genoa, centre half. Ange is very keen on him. These talks have been going pretty deep for a while now, for about a week. I'm not sure who's chucked in, or is it Bayern going in there? But I've just saw that now. But if he's got the choice to go to Bayern or Spurs, I'm pretty sure he'd pick Bayern Munich. But you never know. But I think Dragusin would be an excellent move for Spurs. So hopefully he gets the move there.
Yeah, especially with their injuries that Marcus was talking about before. I think that would be a great move. They need any defender. They need to sign a defender rapidly over the next couple of weeks.
They can have Cedric from Arsenal. We can give them that. We will also throw in whatever he has in his locker room. You don't need to pay us. Just take him.
I think they need centre halves, unfortunately. It's unfortunately for you, Alex. So
No, Arsenal fans were thinking of the dreaded C word when Mikel was rotating the team in his FA Cup game. Cedric, the dreaded C word.
Oh, I thought it was just a cup.
Didn't we beat you in the FA Cup final?
That was rigged. Don't get me on that. That was cool stuff.
All right, let's talk about this, because this is the interesting one that our company actually reported on first, which came out of nowhere.
Really?
So News Corp had the first article I saw earlier this week about Kylian Mbappe having entered a pre-contract deal with Real Madrid to leave PSG at the end of the season and go across for the 2024-25 season with Real Madrid. Obviously, there's a lot of wages and bonuses to sort of go into this contract, because Mbappe has loyalty clauses and things like that in his contract at PSG. PSG obviously want to make some money from him if he was to leave, but given he's in the last 6 months of his contract, he can leave for free. So if he waives those bonuses, which total to about 80 million euros, he may be able to go across to Real Madrid. But this is feeling like the story that comes out every time there's a transfer window, that Mbappe will go to Real Madrid. I don't think he'll leave. I think he should, but it always seems like he stays in France.
Yeah, I'm reading this thing on goal.com, so I'm not sure how reliable it is, but it says Liverpool as well are in a big chance to get him. I don't know about that at all. That seems really weird. But the last thing late last night that Mbappe's camp said that they're going to not go to Real Madrid. But I feel like this happens every couple of months. There's rumors about Mbappe. I don't know if other teams want to bring him in because he always wants to be a manager, the guy that's controlling transfers. His weird contract at PSG is, just a bit weird for other teams to take on, I reckon.
I think he will move. I've heard the links about Liverpool in the past. I don't think he'll go there. I don't think he's like a Liverpool sort of transfer in terms of, a Jurgen Klopp sort of transfer. But of course, any team would love to have him. I would take him at Liverpool if I was a Liverpool fan. But I think he will go to Real Madrid. I've heard he does want to probably run his contract down. Because it ends, I'm pretty sure, at the end of this season.
Yep.
So I think he will go to Real Madrid, and if he's going to go anywhere, it will be Real Madrid.
Yeah, because you do think you think geographically and just of the actual cities. He doesn't seem like the kind of person that would live in Liverpool when he's gone to Paris. It feels like Madrid, good option. Potentially Munich, because Munich is nice and you'd win absolutely everything in Munich. And then there's London, and there's only 2 clubs in London he'd go to. Obviously, the French links at Arsenal, but of course Chelsea have the money. So those would be the cities that he'd go to. Obviously, Saudi Arabia offered him like $3 trillion, and he said no. So it's not the money thing. I think it's more, obviously, a lot of these players dream of being a Galactico at Real Madrid, but then there's obviously the chance to be a big name in London too, which obviously has its weight. All right, let's talk about I don't like this. I don't like it at all. Jordan Henderson has been in the Saudi Pro League for, what, 6 months?
Yeah.
Making $700,000 a week. He wants to come back to Europe. He's been linked to Chelsea. He's been linked to Ajax this morning, and apparently he's offered himself to Leverkusen, Dortmund, and a bunch of other teams. He's made a bunch of money, but also if he does come back to anywhere in Europe, because over in Saudi, it is tax-free, all of that money. So if he doesn't see out 2 years of his contract, he comes back, it's going to cost him about $5 million in taxes. So it must be terrible over in Saudi if he wants to leave. I say, Jordan, you made your bed, lie in it. You aren't good enough to come back to the EPL. You are on the way down. You shouldn't be in the England squad whatsoever. You're going to go somewhere, maybe Ajax, because obviously the Dutch league is a level down. But if I'm a Premier League team, I'd be like, I'm good.
I don't see him jumping back into any team in the Premier League that's in the top half, pretty much. I think he's getting older now. I think he's gone to the Saudi league and gone, oh, the money's good. And then he's gone, oh, crap, this is a crap life or whatever's going on over there. And then Liverpool won't take him back as well. They're too good now. I think he was just getting a game at Liverpool. Just seems a bit of a legend there. And now he's too old and he's not going to get a game in those top halves. He could go to Ajax. I could see that happening just because they're not going very well at all and they probably need a bit more experience. But yeah, I can't understand why any team would want to pick him up, especially Chelsea. I can't believe Chelsea are linked to him. If we pick him up, I would be absolutely filthy. But I'd rather pick up someone that's like 10 years younger. But anyway.
Well, he gave it the big one about the Saudi league actually being a decent league, and now he's literally trying to escape there ferociously. But I could actually see him. I think he'd do a good job at, say, a Luton or a Burnley. You know, some experience. Just get him playing next to Ross Barkley. Go on. I think he should stay there just because he's a bit of a hypocrite.
Yeah, also his team is absolutely horrendous. It's also run by Steven Gerrard, so it's no shock that they're actually losing all the time. Take us through this Chelsea deal. Apparently one of your young fellas signing a new contract and then going out on loan to the Bundesliga.
Yeah, Ian Martin. He was at Burnley in the Championship last season. He was great. He almost won, I think, Championship Player of the Year. He was in the running, and he's featured a little bit so far this season. But good to get some experience, especially at Borussia Dortmund at a top club in another top 5 international league. So yeah, he just signed a new deal and will move on loan there for the remainder of the season.
I like it. Good stuff. And finally, we'll finish up with a transfer that's been talked up by the agent, but apparently one club is like, not yet. And that's Arsenal, who apparently want Onana from Everton. Now, a lot of this talk apparently, pilfering through some articles this morning, is a lot of talk on the agent side of things. Everton would want about 50 to 60 million pounds for him. Arsenal obviously have some FFP issues at the moment. Not that it's their issues. It's basically they can't buy someone. They'd have to loan someone unless they sold a Reece Nelson or Eddie Nketiah. Given that they are academy products, that money would be straight into the club. So if they get 30 million, they can spend 30 million a year for the next 5 years, given how the FFP works. It makes absolutely no sense to me. It's just like, it seems like a bottomless pit. And all of a sudden, no, you can't spend any more money. But anyway, for me, this would be, if Arsenal could pull this off, it'd be a great signing to have him alongside Declan Rice in the midfield, because two strong defensive midfielders and building out from the back is what the Arsenal legacy is built on. And it also just been, I don't know what had happened. I'd actually play Kai Havertz up front, given the way he played against Liverpool. He didn't put it in the back of the net, but a big, tall, fast guy who was a danger at all times. Look better than Eddie Nketiah, that's for sure.
Nah, fair. I don't know if the Arsenal really need him, but you're right. It can help your depth, especially if you're playing in lots of different cups. But yeah, I feel like you obviously should be going for a striker. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of weird things where you can't buy some players at the moment. So yeah, I don't even think he's that needed, but he is really good. He's helped keep a lot of clean sheets in that defensive midfield for the Toffees.
Yeah, well, I think obviously if Arsenal don't get a striker and they fall even. Their form even dips even more. I think this is definitely a fault Edu and Arteta. Because I think that you spent, 50, 60 million around that same price on Havertz. I think that money, it could have been spent elsewhere. I think that was just more of I wouldn't say a panic buy. It wasn't a panic, but I just think you could have spent that money a little bit better, especially up front, because I think it's really showing to the fore now that your front three is the guy who passes to the guy who scores. And you're just missing that guy who scores at the moment in terms of winning the league.
Yep.
Personally, I wouldn't panic buy a striker in January because obviously the market knows that you need that and the price just goes up and up. Wait till the summer transfer window, and I get it. If it costs Arsenal a title, it's horrendous. Life sucks. Everything's terrible. But don't panic buy now. You've still got Jesus, you can play Havertz in a role because don't forget you've still got Thomas Partey that's injured. Tomiyasu's away at the moment. Zinchenko's form has dipped, and this is the first time in 4 years that both Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli are off form at the same time. So it's one of those things. It's like it's been 4 games. Just ride it out. This 12-day break could be great. I'm actually saying right now I'm going to have a decent bet on Arsenal to score 2 or more goals in their next game against Crystal Palace when they come back. Because I just think that they needed the break to get away to it. Because you look at all those, apart from Manchester City, the teams that were in Europe during this Christmas period were all a little bit flat.
Yep. Fair call.
All right, let's have a look at the Asian Cup, boys. This is your mentioned stats guy. You've been waiting for this. We have been running long, so we do need to rip through this so this show doesn't just be long for the sake of long. Before we get into Australia, let's have a look at the main dangers. Of course, the 4 favourites in this competition are Japan, South Korea, Iran, and Australia, and in no particular order. But Japan, they are the favourites to win this, you would think. Stats guy, or honestly, Japan.
Yeah, you got the kit on. That's one of my favourite kits I think you've bought, of your 100 kits that you have.
Yeah.
It's a really cool Dragon Ball Z one. Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, yep.
Very nice. So, if you want a cool kit, just look up any of Japan's kits. They're absolutely awesome. Yeah, they've got the most Asian Cups in history with 4, but they haven't won one 13 years. So I think 20 or 14 years now. 2011, no, 13 years. 2011 was their last Asian Cup. So they've had a bit of a span where they're still known as probably the best team in Asia, but they can't win the actual Asian Cup. Amazing wins over the World Cup. I was really happy with them. I talked them up at the Men's World Cup against Spain and Germany. They were absolutely awesome. Didn't always control the possession, but on the counter-attack, their pace was absolutely awesome. They've got some really good players, amazing midfield of Matoma, Endo, and Minamino. All guys that have dominated in some of the world's top leagues, especially Matoma. I'm really excited to watch him in this tournament. I think against some of the, especially in the group stage, he could score a lot of goals. Just the doctor of dribbling, we're calling him in the office. I think he's absolutely awesome. Japan, I think, they are well-deserved favourites just because of their team, but it'll just be interesting to see if they can keep up that form from the World Cup. They've got a lot of new players sort of coming in. They had some injuries at the World Cup, so it'll just be interesting to see how they go from here. But Japan, well-deserved favourites.
Oh, yeah, they're very much a tournament-based nation. I think they were really, really good in tournaments with the players that they got at their disposal, very counter-attacking. Something that, although in terms of Australia is not a great tournament team, I don't think when we're the favourites, or we're one of the favourites, one of the bigger nations in the tournament. But Japan definitely are, and they would be my favourites for me.
Yep.
Yeah, can't disagree whatsoever. Also got Tomiyasu coming out of the back as well, one of probably the better defenders in this competition.
True.
And before I also forget, I mentioned it last week, Bukayo Saka had the gold shaved out of his head. Losing 4 or 5 games. I think Mikel Arteta said, Bukayo, shave it or I'm going to shave it for you in Dubai. He got it out of his hair. Arsenal are going to start winning again because he had it in and Arsenal didn't win a game. I don't know if that's cosmic karma or anything, but I'm just rolling with
cosmic karma.
Yeah. All right. South Korea, they're going to be great because they have really good attack and a strong defense. Of course, they got Song Hyun-min and, of course, Pep Guardiola's favorite guy, the Korean guy, Hwang Hee-chan. But, of course, they got Min Jae from Bayern at Munich, who was a very expensive move last transfer window. I think they're going to be the team to beat if they play to their best. They were so inconsistent at the World Cup. Of course, Son had a broken face, so that didn't help.
Yeah.
But I think at their best, they, for me, are the team to beat.
I think they're quietly, coming up as a powerhouse in Asian football. I say quietly, but they've obviously always had those stars. But everyone's talking about Japan and how well they did at the World Cup recently. But you're right. If South Korea can get on a roll, they could definitely cause some trouble.
Yeah, I think in these tournaments, when you're versing some of the lower ranked nations, you just got to have 3 or 4 stars that can take you all the way in those finals and just step up in the big moments. In the past, I mentioned in the run sheet, they relied on Sonny a bit. Now you got Hee Chan and Min Jae, who are in career best form. You got guys that, now they're on the par. In terms of their team on paper, I don't know how they're going to actually go, but in terms of their team on paper, they can compete with the likes of Japan, just the amount of stars they have. So they're going to be really fun to watch. This is probably one of the most exciting Asian Cups in terms of competitive feel that we've had in a long time. So, very excited for South Korea.
Yep. All right. And we'll go through Iran. They're the final team we'll touch on before we talk about Australia. They're undefeated in their last 12 games, according to the run sheet. Well,
yes, I chucked it in there, yeah.
They weren't terrible in the World Cup. They probably could have got out of the groups with a bit of luck too.
They beat Wales, so Wales aren't too bad. They beat them 2-0. Unlucky to lose to US. I remember watching that game. They were actually really solid, just couldn't finish. But they also won their first ever title last year, which was the CAFA Nations Cup. It's the Central Asian team, so definitely not the highest of standards, but just that confidence of winning a cup. They're up to the 3rd favourites for this tournament. A lot of people have been talking them up. I think they're about 21st in the world, their ranking. Yeah, moved up massively over the last couple of years. And they've got some solid players. You got Mehdi Taremi. He's a FIFA specialist for those who like to play, or EAFC. He's always really good on Ultimate Team, Taremi. He's a Porto legend, 5 goal contributions in 5 games at the last Asian Cup as well. So don't mind Iran. They've just got a quietly solid team, and people probably don't know a lot of their players, but they'll go all right.
Obviously, Iran caused Australia a heartbreak previously.
Yeah, true.
Hopefully that doesn't happen again.
You guys weren't alive.
I can still feel the tears. It's all right.
Yeah, of course. And then we'll have a look at the Socceroos breakdown. Of course, this is your area of expertise. We're in Group B against Uzbekistan, India, and Syria. As said earlier in the show, absolute doomsday if we don't get through this group, and probably doomsday if we don't top it.
Yeah, what did I write in here? I wrote that we beat Syria 3-2 last time in an Asian Cup, drew to Uzbekistan but won on pens. Nil also. We should be able to get through this group. India are really low ranked. And like you mentioned before, I know we don't have that middle sort of age group bracket coming through, but our young guys are looking really good. And I think this is one of those tournaments which is easier than a World Cup, where those young guys like Metcalf, like Boss, who I saw watch them at Amy Park, they absolutely dominated. I think that's going to be the start of a few of those guys coming through, even Yengi as well.
To be honest, I think we'll get out of the group stage comfortably, but I see us getting knocked out. I wouldn't say early on in the knockouts, but I think we're really lacking. Alex, you mentioned it before. We're lacking a match winner. Mm-hmm. Someone will go out and will win a game.
True.
I don't think we have that. We've probably had more European exposure for players in Europe than ever before, but you're right. We're lacking a match winner, and I think we sort of struggle in these sort of tournaments where, obviously, other than the 2015 Asian Cup when we hosted it, but we struggle in these tournaments when we're favourites to win, and we assume that we have most of the chances, and that was the case in our friendly, actually, which we'll touch on a bit later.
Yep. So easy. All right, let's have a look at sort of the Australians in action going on around the world outside of the Asian Cup. Of course, this basically segment is going to be all Sam Kerr related. Of course, has completely ruptured her ACL. Oh. And let's be honest, ACL in football, much more important than basically in any other sport, given such as the nature of football with the 360-degree nature of the game. It and AFL are probably the 2 most important sports for an injury like that. Let's get it out of the way early. Barring a medical miracle, she's not playing at the Olympics later this year.
No, I think you wrote down someone in the media and was talking her up as just going to be a penalty taker or a penalty shot. That is not worth it. You don't want her to get even more hurt. And then she ruins her chances of playing for Chelsea later in the year. She ruins her chances for other tournaments for the Matildas. I think you just got to wait it out. It is sad. We've got the depth, though, to make a really good run at the at the Olympics still anyway. It's not as we showed without her early on in the World Cup. So, yeah, I think we'll be okay without her. But it is a really sad injury because she's Australia's best.
Yeah, I think Sam Kerr's gone. We just have to deal with it, push forward. And I'm excited to see what other players can do. We talked about, I forgot her name from who just moved to
Victory.
Back to Victory.
Chidiac.
Yeah, Alex Chidiac. So this might be an opportunity for her to take her claim in the front three.
Cool. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, so with this as well, a difference between the World Cup and the Olympics. Of course, we still need to beat Uzbekistan in the 2-leg playoff coming up in next month, which let's be honest, we're expecting to do so. So we can look ahead to that. But you only take 18 players to the Olympics rather than 23. Straight away, it's only 2 goalkeepers, not 3. So, okay, that goes down from 23 to 22. Then you've still got to cut 4 players from the most recent squad. Obviously, Sam Kerr's probably going to be one of them, which leaves 3, potentially 3, maybe 4 who's going to miss out, because we have the under-20 Asian Cup coming up in March. And this could be a situation where, like, Mary Fowler had an under-20s tournament and she just went ballistic. And it's like, oh, she has to be in the Matildas. So that obviously gives a chance to a player like Daniela Galic, for example. She comes off a hat-trick over the weekend, I believe. She's got 5 goals and 3 assists so far in 11 games for Melbourne City in the Women's A-League here in Australia. And similar to Mary Fowler a couple of years ago, had a brilliant tournament for the young Matildas and was just like, she has to be in the Matildas team. And this is the opportunity where I know Gustafsson is sometimes scared of blooding young kids, because it seems like it's either the genuine starting 11 or it's the others. There's no seemingly in between. And if someone comes out and has a great tournament, it's going to put them front and center for a spot like this, because some of these players, like you think there's an Emily Van Egmond, a Polkinghorn, and a few others. Obviously, the girl who plays for Central Coast Mariners, Simon, she did her knee and was in the squad for vibes and a penalty taker. She's probably not going to be in the squad. She hasn't played a game since the World Cup. So there's an opportunity for one of these young girls to come out and stake their claim. And I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for this next 12 months with the Matildas, obviously.
Yeah, I think you're making a good point there. With just the depth, when you're having these problems where you got to cut some players that are really good, it's obviously tough for them, but it's great for Australian football at the moment that we have to cut some players. Might even have some players in Europe, which in the past, if you're playing in Europe, you just jump straight in the team. But yeah, at the moment, it's really hard to get in that team. So that's a great problem to have.
And finally, we'll just quickly touch on this, that Katrina Gorry and Mackenzie Arnold are a chance of appearing together for West Ham against Chelsea in the FA Cup 4th round. Of course, this would have been them up against Sam Kerr, as well as Sam Kerr's fiancée playing for West Ham, Kirsty Muir. So that's a bit sad, but that'll be an interesting matchup. And finally, before we move on, the Socceroos beat Bahrain 2-0 in a friendly match. You guys put this in, which is a lead up to the Asian Cup. Not a great performance, but it's a dub. Take the dubs.
Yep. Yeah, and to lead into a tournament, you got to get those sort of wins. It wasn't convincing. I watched the first half of this match for some unknown reason. I think it was because I was watching the Tyne-Ware derby in the FA Cup, and that match was straight after. So I thought, why not? But it wasn't great. But it would have been a good chance to sort of see Bruno Fornaroli in action. You know,
yeah,
just like he's performing well, give himself a chance and a friendly instead of just introducing straight back into an Australian squad where he's only made 1 or 2 appearances. And then chucking him straight in the deep end at an Asian Cup. So question marks over some tactical things there from Gray and Arnold, but, you know, a win's a win.
All right, and just finally, we'll quickly touch on some fantasy in the EPL. Obviously, we do have a split round coming up in the EPL. Obviously, if you haven't taken out Mo Salah, Son, Endo, Takehiro Tomiyasu, if you still had him in your team, Onana from Manchester United and so on, a lot of players at the African Cup of Nations and Asian Cup. I'm going to say your midfield replacement, Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Back. Throw him in. Why not? If you've got Mo Salah, chuck in De Bruyne. What's the worst you can do?
Yeah, I don't mind that actually, because you got Salah. I had a problem of having too much money in fantasy this week. Had to get rid of Salah. Had to get rid of Trent Alexander-Arnold being injured. So they're the most expensive defender and the most expensive midfielder as well. So you got a lot of money to work with. You might as well get the most expensive next best, which is De Bruyne. I also don't mind Solanke. I think we talked him up a couple of weeks ago. Still only 7.1. Even if he's playing against some of the better teams, he can get an attacking return. Got an assist against Liverpool earlier in the season, had attacking returns in 10 games. And at only 7.1, I think not enough people have him still. He's just had an amazing season for Bournemouth, and don't mind him up front in my team.
Well, Alex, you forgot about one of the best African fantasy players to take out of your team. So be sure to take Nicholas Jackson out of your team if you have him in.
No one has him in their team.
Obviously, jokes. But yeah, De Bruyne is back. He obviously got some minutes in the FA Cup, so get him in.
Yep. All right, we are done. My internet's about to cark it. It's not that great up here on the Gold Coast, so I'm going to wrap this one up very quickly. Boys, thank you very much for doing the show via your home studios this week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.
Go Chelsea.
Shout out to Leo. Shout out to Geraldo producing this as always. And shout out to video producer Homie, who's up here as well. He's working away on some RaceNet and Punter stuff. But of course, check out us on the social medias at Football Today Pod on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X. A lot of good stuff going up there at the moment. we're all still getting yelled at about different various takes that we've had through rankings and such. The boys are going to do some fun social stuff later this week while they're in the office. I'm going to be up here doing some stuff at punters.com.au. So go check out their social medias as well. I'm talking to a bunch of trainers, owners, and everyone else here at the Magic Millions, as everyone but me, because I'm not drinking at the moment, sweats out their beer just by standing around in the humidity. It is absolutely fantastic. All right, we are done and dusted here on Football Today. We will catch you next week.